This is one of those things where the lights are such I can't see everybody, but maybe that's a good thing. Well, first of all, hello and welcome to this final chapter of the year. And it's kind of like my little farewell to the troops. Goodbye, Mr. Chips. And my own Mr. Holland's opus. Only I'm not going to try to get too windy and too philosophical, but just a little bit perhaps. For years now, our school has a motto and a mission that evolves around character, scholarship, and faith. And I know you guys have heard a lot about that this year. Our seniors, you guys did a really great job expressing yourself this year. I really loved all the chapels. Thank you so much for your sharing and what you gave to all of us. It was wonderful. And I find that that triumvirate of those three specific things is very, very important. It's a grounding for our lives, not just for while we're here at Lumiere, but it's something that I think we can carry with us no matter how far we go forward into the future. And I know it's been really important to me personally. It's been something that I've taken to heart and that I have valued in my life and have shared with my family and my friends. I think it's extremely important because I'll tell you something, people. Just because you graduate college doesn't mean the scholarship part starts to end. You're still learning and growing as you move forward in life. And I have found that to be a very profound thing. It wasn't something I expected when I was your age. I thought, oh, well, once I finish my education, that's done. I don't have to study anything anymore. I'm all done with that. That was not the case. And thank goodness it wasn't the case, you know, because otherwise I'd be really up a creek and all of us would really stagnate as individuals. So scholarship is something that certainly carries forward in life. Your character development is something that begins at the very youngest of age. It is something that begins to be formulated as you grow from the youngest little thing. Your parents and your family have such an influence on that. But I'll tell you something, you can always work on that, and that is something that you will continue to work on as you get older and as you grow, because the person that you are right now, I guarantee you, will not be the person that you are 10, 20, 30 years from now. Your life will have changed and evolved in such a direction that those characteristics that are your basic foundation will not only be with you, but will continue to evolve, as I say, and will continue to enhance you as a human being and make you more full a person. And when it comes to spirituality and faith, no matter what your faith is, and I have had many students come to me and say, well, I don't really go to any particular church, but I believe, and one of the things I have been involved with through my art connections and stuff, is in shows and exhibits that emphasize the essence of the spiritual nature of humanity and human beings. And that is something, too, that will continue to grow with you as you grow. That sense of the spiritual nature, that connectedness with something that is beyond you, that is much greater than you, that sense, too, that is universal and unites us all as human beings on this very small, little, tiny globe spinning around out there in space. This is very important, too. And I think about those three things, and of course, being an artist and being a person who likes to spend a lot of time in my head pondering various things. I like that number three. That number three of things I find really fascinating. And I've found in my study ancient design patterns, ancient cultures and so forth, which I am fascinated by, that 3 is a very spiritual and magical number. So that I can see a connection in multiple ways. For instance, the idea of the family unit, the mother, the father, the child. The Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. The mind, body, and spirit connection. Again, the use of spirit. This is something that has been prevalent throughout human nature, going back to the most ancient of civilizations, this idea of things coming in 3. I mean, it's no wonder that the pyramids are triadic, okay? The triangle, as I'm sure Mr. Falcone can tell you, is an extremely stable shape, and it's a shape that is used repeatedly in all kinds of architectural forms, not just in pyramids, but as supporting structures for all kinds of things. So that number 3 kind of fascinates me. And I started thinking about this character scholarship phase thing and that number 3, and I thought, I wonder if the people who founded this school, and when that initial mission came into view, came into their thoughts, if they were seeing somehow a magical connection, a spiritual connection with what would link us to our past history as human beings on this planet, as Americans. And I just find that kind of intriguing. I like to think about that. But then I think about that, and I think about, okay, let's take each of these things individually. And the one that, to me, that I have found has given me the greatest, I think, meaning and has given me the greatest substance in my life, because it's been something that I have personally struggled with, is under the section of character and character development. Because I'll be quite frank with you, when I was a kid, I was not a very good student. It wasn't because I wasn't smart. It wasn't because I couldn't do it. It was pretty much because I really didn't want to do it. I was going to do things my way, and nobody was going to tell me how to do it. And despite all my parents' best wishes to the contrary, I put up lots of barriers myself because I didn't want anybody telling me what to do. I was extremely stubborn. I mean, that was a characteristic that was not helping me in any way, shape, or form. So I started to think about, okay, this whole issue of character, this issue of who we are, and how can we deal with this, and what do we do with this thing, character? You know, it's kind of, okay, what are all the things that come into character? And I decided to pick one thing within the realm of character that I felt would kind of be a starting point to begin to evaluate this issue of character and what we can do about our character. And that particular thing was the word veritas, or truth. And I feel as though truth is, to me, like the heart and the core of everything, because as you develop your character, your sense of humanity, your sense of right and wrong, your sense of how you treat other people, your sense of your interrelationship with everything, nature, the environment, all of that, it all comes from one central place that, for me, this is my opinion, not something I read anywhere. This is something I feel. It comes from a sense of truth, of veritas, of being really, really, really honest with yourself about who you are. It's not making excuses, because when you're truthful about who you are, you recognize, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, okay? Where can I improve? Where am I already doing what I need to do? And there isn't a single person in this room, and this includes all the adults, all of us, that can't need a little improvement in this area. All of us do. I mean, when we're really honest and we think about it, we all could use a little improvement with this sense of who we are and the truthfulness that we take and we internalize inside. One of the exercises I have my advanced art students this year, and it's one that I have found has been extraordinarily successful, is we work with a theme called identity. And the theme of identity is meant to get us to start to think about this issue of who am I, the truthfulness of who am I really. Not just the person, this person that we put out for everybody to see, this kind of facade that we make, but rather the real person that's deep down there, the one that's really feeling the feelings, that's sensing things, but puts up these barriers, and sometimes it makes it very difficult for other people to really get in and to connect with us because we have these things going on, which is why when I was a little kid and I was being stubborn, I was putting up barriers because I didn't want to be honest with myself about my true fears, about if I tried too hard and I didn't do it, I saw the big flashing sign, failure, 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 you know, the big L, loser. And I didn't want to risk that. So I wouldn't try sometimes because I was scared. And the truth was, it was fear that was running that whole scenario. So what I feel is really important, and what I would like to pass on to you is, with our students, when we worked with the theme of Who Am I, we did a lot of writing exercises, we did a lot of discussion, we looked at a series of artists who were working within this theme, we rumbled around in this, and we tried to dig deep and be really honest so that the work that was going to be produced would be a more sincere reflection of who we really were. Did it work? Yeah. Worked pretty doggone good. I was just amazed at the honesty and the willingness of the students in that class to really put themselves out there for evaluation. That takes a lot of courage to do that. But that willingness to dig truthfully and deeply into who we are is very, very good. You know, I really believe that the truth will set you free. As corny as that sounds, I really think that's true. And we hear references to truth all the time. Things like the truth will be self-evident. We hold these truths to be self-evident. To tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's important. And being honest. But you know what? We can think we know the truth sometimes when we see it. You know, we might see somebody doing something, but we don't know really what's going on. We see something, we make assumptions. The only truths that in the real end that I think we can know is the ones that we know inside ourselves that come from us and who we are. And being able to dig down and do that is very important, because what that's going to do is that's going to leave you with a wonderful sense of self-esteem, a sense of you being true to who you really are, not worrying so much about what other people are thinking about you. And I think it also helps eliminate a lot of anxiety and stress, you know, and those are not things you want to deal with. Believe me, they are not things you want to deal with. When I hear students come and say to me, and many, many, many times over the years, I've gotten multiple versions of, oh, I don't have my homework because fill in the blank, okay? I look at that and I say, you know, I would really rather that you would come to me and say, Mrs. Weigel, here's the truth of the matter. I had an ethics paper I had to do. I had a pre-calc test to study for last night. I had, you know, we were on the road with tennis team, and I just couldn't get it done. You know, my intentions were good, I couldn't. Please, may I have an extension? Well, heck, what do you think I'm going to say? I'm going to say, yeah, of course. Just be honest with me, be truthful. Tell me what's really going on. Or even if it's a matter of, you know, I didn't get around to it because really I was just too doggone tired, and I knew I should have done it, and I probably could have, but I just couldn't. Well, you know what? I'll probably still give you an extension, because I understand those things. I've been in that position. Honesty really is the best policy. So this whole idea of truthfulness, that particular characteristic, if you set yourself up to be really honest and truthful with yourself and really, really look at who you are and really dig down and really be completely honest and weigh the weaknesses and the strengths, the things you can work on and improve on, so many of these other things will just fall into place. You're not going to have to worry about it. And you're not going to have to be making excuses for things in your life. And when you tell the truth and you express it in an honest way, you don't have to worry about anything else because you've just been completely above board. And boy, don't we all want to have a life where we don't have to be trying to remember what we said 2 days ago in order to sound truthful, because we weren't being honest about things. Character, scholarship, faith, this whole idea of that triumvirate, you've got to take that with you. So seniors, when you go on next year and you are wherever you're going to be, all the different universities and the schools, please do not forget that. Hold that close to you. That, to me, is like, along with the friendships that you guys have made here, that is your great mission in life, okay? It's to spread that to other people. You take that with you. That is such a gift that you have been given, and it is so important. Really, really, really is. So take that with you. And for the rest of you, don't forget about it this summer. Work on those things. Take some extra classes. Spend some time prayerfully thinking, contemplating, okay? Work on doing things for other people, developing that part of your character, and work about being more honest with your relationships, not only with each other, but with your parents and with your siblings, okay? Find a way to do that. Life will be ever so much more pleasant. And that really, in a nutshell, is all I want to say, other than the greatest gift for me, one of the greatest gifts for me in my life, in addition to my husband and my children, has been my time spent here at Lumiere School. I dearly, dearly love this place. And it was a tremendously difficult decision to leave. But the time was right. I have other people in my family who really need me right now, and that has to be my priority. But for all of you, and I have taught almost everybody that's in here at one time or another, I respect you as people and as individuals, and I have the greatest faith in you that you will become a person of character, of scholarship, and of faith. Thank you very much.